Hello, everybody. I hope you've had a great time
आ रही है भाई आ रही है चला तो वीडियो
प्ले तो कर
reading the
तब ना पता
case
चलेगा.
about Data Sutram. And now we have one of the co founders of Data Sutram, Rajat, right over here
Audible नहीं.
to actually help
तूने स्क्रीन शेयर कर रखी है, टैब शेयर कर तब आएगा.
Share screen.
strategies far better. So, thank you so much, Rajat, for contributing to the inspiration of so many students who have recently read your case.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure always being here, talking to students, talking to you.
Great, lovely. So I want you to walk down a little bit in the memory lane and help share to all the students about how did you land your first set of customers? Was it difficult? Was it easy? And what kind of strategy, if I may say, did you use to get your first set of customers?
So I think your first customer is very important. And in business, they say customer is God, right? So getting that first customer is not only important from a business perspective, but from a validation of your product perspective. And remember, your first set of customers are going to be the people who are going to drive your product. So they not only need to be the people who understands and can pay you money, but more importantly, can understand the market and give you feedback that can really help your product. So for me, going from 0 to 1, that's what I call it, the phase of the first, getting the first customer, is very vital. And it's very important to understand that who should you target to make your first customer, because hey, this is the time during which you as a founder need to work very closely with the client and understand that what do they really want and what are they saying that they want. Now, these two are very important differentiators. Now, when you're building a product and you're interacting with the customer, this is the time you get to really understand the market. And this is the time you need to work on directly with the customer. So your first 5, 10 customers has to be direct sales. It has to be people you interact with, converse with, talk to on a regular basis, and take regular feedbacks and inputs from. For me, luckily, one of my first customers was some of the people who really taught me new use cases that could be achieved with my product. I went in with one use case to, one of the pharma chains that was one of my first customer, pharma retail chains. Uh, when we went and worked with them, I was pitching them how to open stores with our data on smart basis. And then COVID happened. There was no need to open stores after that because, situation was status quo. So then the pharma company came back and told me that, hey, can you help me with distribution? Can you help me optimizing my resources on ground? Can you tell me know where to put in what medicine? And as a result, automatically, 3 of my new product modules came out: demand sensing, optimization. So your first customer is really going to give you a huge perspective, and you need to work very closely with them, understand what they want, why they want it, why they need it. And it has to be a direct sales engagement, because more than money, I feel what's very important with your first customers is direction. And that's super important.
I love that. I love that answer, because the first set of customers, I think these are the guys who give you like a green card that, hey, you know what, you're approaching product market fit. These are the kind of use cases you would be able to develop.
बेसिकली वो ये बोलना चाह रहे हैं ना कि सबसे पहले तो डायरेक्ट कस्टमर्स होने चाहिए जिनसे आप डायरेक्टली इंटरेक्ट करोगे, तो आपको कुछ यूज केसेस बताएंगे कि क्या यूज केसेस.
वो ये बताना चाह रहे हैं कि वो हेल्प कर सकते हैं रीडिफाइन करने के लिए प्रोडक्ट, मेरे ख्याल से मतलब उनके कस्टमर के फीडबैक्स के थ्रू हम एक नए डायरेक्शन में भी ब्रांड को ले जा सकते हैं अगर हम चाहें
बिल्कुल
तो
बिल्कुल,
राइट.
इनिशियली डायरेक्ट कस्टमर्स होने चाहिए जिनसे आप डायरेक्टली इंटरेक्ट
हाँ.
करते हो.
मतलब पहले तो इम्पोर्टेंस ऑफ कस्टमर्स बताया हमने कि इम्पोर्टेंट जो
हम्म.
फर्स्ट कस्टमर होता है उसमें हम लोग को जो है मनी से ज्यादा उनके साथ जो हम लोग बात कर रहे हैं, डायरेक्शन जिस तरीके से हम अपने बिजनेस को ले जा रहे हैं वो इम्पोर्टेंट है. और जो है कस्टमर भगवान की तरह उनको देखना चाहिए. और
हाँ वही उसने बताया कि लाइक
कस्टमर का फीडबैक वो लेते हैं कस्टमर से, उसके बाद उनका जो फीडबैक रहता है उसमें वो अपने प्रोडक्ट में कुछ चेंजेस करते हैं।
एक तरीके से इसमें एक्सप्लेन किया गया है कि कैसे कस्टमर का जो ओपिनियन है उससे हम लोग अपने प्रोडक्ट को शेप कर सकते हैं, और किस तरीके से लाइक हम लोगों ने स्टार्टिंग में कोई प्रोडक्ट के बारे में सोचा, फिर फीडबैक के अकॉर्डिंग चेंजेस के अकॉर्डिंग हम उसे बेटर बना सकते हैं, यही इसमें डिस्कस किया गया बेसिकली।
और
बेसिकली
साथ ही
न्यू
साथ
यूज
इसमें जो
केसेस
है,
लिए जाते हैं। हाँ
साथ ही
बताओ।
साथ इसमें
बेसिकली
ये भी बताया
हमारे
गया है कि जो हमारा
हमारे
जो फर्स्ट कस्टमर है वो जरूरी नहीं है कि कोई अननोन मैन हो, हम लोग जिससे डेली बेसिस पे इंटरेक्ट करते हैं और हम लोग जिसको जानते हैं, जिसको हमारे प्रोडक्ट की नीड हो, हम उसको डायरेक्टली अप्रोच कर सकते हैं हमारा फर्स्ट प्रोडक्ट जो है सेल करने के लिए।
बेसिकली है ना,
इसीलिए फर्स्ट कस्टमर
कस्टमर
काफी
फर्स्ट
इम्पोर्टेंट होगा।
कस्टमर के हिसाब से ना अपने बिजनेस मॉडल को पिवट कर सकते हैं। मतलब कि पहले अपन कुछ सर्विस दे रहे थे लेकिन कस्टमर की डिमांड कुछ और है, तो हम कस्टमर की डिमांड को देखते हुए अपना बिजनेस मॉडल पिवट कर सकते हैं और मतलब ज्यादा क्रेडिबिलिटी हासिल करें।
बिल्कुल सही। साथ ही साथ उसमें ये भी बताया गया है कि जैसे हम लोग को अपनी, जैसे उसने एग्जांपल दिया, एक फार्मा की दुकान खोली थी उसके फ्रेंड ने, तो फिर किस तरीके से उसको लोकेशन की जरूरत थी कि जहाँ पे वो अपनी दुकान खोल पाए, लेकिन उसने सीवर्ड का एग्जांपल दिया। जब सीवर्ड आई तो फिर उसको उस लोकेशन की या दुकान की कोई जरूरत नहीं पड़ी, वो बिना उसके ही ऑनलाइन अपने प्रोडक्ट्स को सेल कर पाया। तो हम फर्स्ट कस्टमर पाने के लिए जरूरी नहीं कि हम दुकान बिठाएं, या फिर हमको एकदम कैपिटल चाहिए, जगह चाहिए, तभी हम कर सकते हैं। हम उसको विदाउट एनी कैपिटल भी सेल कर सकते हैं।
फर्स्ट कस्टमर आपके प्रोडक्ट्स को काफी डिफाइन करता है। मतलब जब
यस यस यस।
फर्स्ट टाइम जब वो किसी फार्मा कंपनी से बात कर रहा था, तब उसने उसको, जब हुआ था तो उसने उसको ऑपरेशनल के में भी काफी मदद की थी। एक नया टाइप का प्रोडक्ट बना, ऑपरेशनल एफिशिएंसी। तो एक नए प्रोडक्ट्स भी हम ऐड कर सकते हैं अगर हम फर्स्ट कस्टमर से अच्छे से इंटरेक्ट करें तो।
अपना अपना प्रोडक्ट वैलिडेट करने के लिए भी फर्स्ट कस्टमर
एग्रीड एग्रीड।
प्लस। हाँ
As data sutram started gradually evolving from the first set of customers towards getting a product market fit, towards all guns blazing sales team to start acquiring more and more clients, what kind of channels are you currently relying on getting sales? And amongst all the channels what you're currently relying on, is there any unconventional channel which has also possibly helped you crack a deal or get sales?
So for me, conventional, unconventionals are, it's very difficult to differentiate. What is conventional and what is non-conventional in a world which is ever changing? So maybe you could elaborate a bit on that for me to answer. But largely, if I talk about my sales strategy and how we do the channel sales primarily, uh, today, see, we are building a product that needs more than us. I mean, we can deliver 80%, but on top of that, you need services to be delivered, you need components to be delivered. So for us, we fit into a lot of aspects. For us, channel, and for us as a technology first company, doing a direct sales team would need, every 100 customers would need 3 sales guys at least, right? And that's not a way to scale up for us. Hence we took to channel. And what we did with channel is that, see, there's already a, let's say, the first set of analytics companies who are already catering to the lot of these customers in our target sector and are delivering analytics service to them. So as a result, they have already developed the trust factor with the customers, they have already developed the relationship with the customer, have already catered to the customer, and we are coming in to give them more revenue from those customers. So as a result, the first set of companies we targeted with the analytics companies who are already working with the sectors that we are working with. The second segment was the consultancy companies. Today, a lot of the consultancy companies are becoming data companies than strategy companies. They were previously doing strategy consulting, now they're doing data consulting. And as a result, why? Is because they really need market insights very well to do that strategy. And as a result, the second layer of companies we tied up with were the consultancy companies who were into strategy. And now what happened automatically is not only it's a scale of volume, it's also a scale across sector, it's also a scale across geography. uh, MNC who is doing strategy in India is also doing a strategy in US and America, and let's say in Africa or in Australia. So when they understand from us that this is something applicable in India, they automatically refer that to their counterparts in different geographies, and that's also something that helps us in channel. The second aspect is also from the perspective that maybe that consultancy company is working across 10 sectors and we are working only in one sector, but they can see the application of the same product in these sectors and can then scale. So scale across geography, scale across sectors are a tremendous value that comes in from the consultancy players as well. The third channel that we have are the technology first companies who have applications built out onto that already for marketing, for acquisitions, and there we are data integration into that play. So these are some of the channels that we have developed. In terms, in my opinion, they're pretty standard and straightforward in terms of going forward. And when it comes to unconventional strategies, I feel we are looking at uh, some of the aspects like community building, right? A community of data scientists can also be an important channel in terms, right? And that's something that's coming up, experimentation. So all those are also there.
Got it. No, this is brilliant. I like all the three channels what you have developed, because these are the whisperers in the big MNCs, and the moment a great value proposition like data sutram gets communicated, I think the sales becomes easier, that it becomes faster. Can you help the students understand that how do you manage building partnerships with these channel strategy guys? Does it become extremely straightforward that it based on referral, it's based on commission fees, or is there another dimension to it, that what goes into building these partnerships with these channels?
Absolutely. I think, referrals are going to get you introductions,
Mhm.
nothing more than that. So referrals can get you on the table with the channel partners, and that's just like business, anything else. I feel what's really important, and this is coming from someone that, and I'll be very honest, I've had positive partnerships and negative partnerships. And I feel it's very important that in any partnership, it should be a mutual partnership. Remember that consultancy player or that channel partner you're onboarding.
Mhm.
Uh, has to also benefit from you. I think that's what we sometimes forget when
Mhm.
we go and approach a player or a channel partner. We always think from our perspective that how can we scale ourselves through them. That's fine, but remember, a solid partnership is where both the people are benefiting from each other. And as a result, for me, this single point of information that I stick to when I talk to a channel partner is that how much incremental business am I going to bring to this person? Because they see this person has to also survive the market and has to survive the game. If I am going to give them A, innovation that makes them long lasting, B, business that fuels their growth, they will stick to me.
इसमें मेनली उन्होंने इसको हम एक सेल्स फनल की तरह देख सकते हैं कि उन्होंने मेनली 3 टाइप्स ऑफ कंपनीज को क्लासिफाई किया जो उनके पोटेंशियल कस्टमर बन सकते हैं।
चैनल्स।
चैनल्स, हाँ, उनके सेल्स चैनल्स को। तो फर्स्ट टाइप है सर्विस बेस्ड कंपनीज, तो उन्होंने सर्विस बेस्ड कंपनीज को टारगेट किया। सेकंड कंसल्टेंसी बेस्ड कंपनीज, और थर्ड हो गई टेक्नोलॉजी बेस्ड कंपनीज। तो इन्होंने इन 3 चैनल्स को यूज़ किया अपनी सेल्स स्ट्रेटजी को और आगे बढ़ाने के लिए। इसको
और
हम
हम
एक
जो है
विजुअल
और
रिप्रेजेंटेशन।
हम
और
लोग जो
इसमें
है
जो
इन 3 चैनल्स के साथ जो है पार्टनरशिप कर सकते हैं, ताकि हम लोग अपने प्रोडक्ट की और ज़्यादा स्केलिंग कर पाएँ, उसे और ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोगों तक पहुँचा पाएँ। और पार्टनरशिप हम कैसे करना है, हम पार्टनरशिप इनमें मेन सबसे पॉइंट बताया कि पार्टनरशिप हम रेफरल के थ्रू कर सकते हैं, कि मतलब रेफरल किसी ने किया तो हम उसके थ्रू जो है ऑन द टेबल आ सकते हैं विद दोज चैनल्स। और हमें जो रेफरल ने पार्टनरशिप बताई, पॉजिटिव पार्टनरशिप होती है, नेगेटिव पार्टनरशिप होती है। नेगेटिव पार्टनरशिप जो होती है वो हम सिर्फ अपने फायदे के लिए देखते हैं, ठीक है? तो हमें जो है उनके फायदे का भी देखना होता है, पॉजिटिव, जिसको हम पॉजिटिव पार्टनरशिप बोलते हैं, जिसमें हम जो है हम जिस चैनल से बॉन्ड कर रहे हैं उनको भी किस तरीके से फायदा हो, उनको भी कैसे बिजनेस मिले, ताकि दोनों जो है दोनों को मार्केट में सर्वाइव करना है और दोनों बिजनेस में साथ में ग्रो कर सके।
आई थिंक इसमें मेन पॉइंट ये था कि रेफरल से वी कैन गेट इंट्रोड्यूस्ड टू आवर कस्टमर और द कंपनी जहाँ पे अपन चाह रहे हैं विल गेट इनटू द टेबल। बट आफ्टर दैट इफ वी एक्चुअली वांट टू पार्टनर विद देम, अगर कोलैबोरेट करना है, देन वी हैव टू लुक फॉर म्यूचुअल बेनिफिट्स. Of course, we cannot just look with our benefit, what we are gaining from them, but we have to show them that what they will be gaining from this partnership as well.
उन्होंने एनालिटिकल कंपनीज का भी फ़ायदा बताया कि वो डायरेक्ट जो उनके टारगेट कस्टमर्स हैं उनसे डायरेक्ट एसोसिएटेड है और उन्होंने उससे ट्रस्ट बिल्ड कर रखा है, तो अगर हम उनसे पार्टनरशिप करते हैं तो हम जो डायरेक्ट हमारे टारगेट कस्टमर है उनसे लिंक कर पाएंगे। तो उसका भी एक उन्होंने इम्पोर्टेंस बताया है। और उन्होंने ये भी बताया है कि जो पार्टनरशिप होती है वो बोथ वेज होती है, कि दोनों को फायदा होना चाहिए। अगर एक एक दूसरे पे पूरी तरह रिलाय करेगा और दूसरे को फायदा नहीं होगा तो वो पार्टनरशिप आगे वर्क नहीं कर पाएगी। तो म्यूचुअल बेनिफिकेशन होना चाहिए इसमें।
और जैसे एग्जाम्पल के तौर पे देखा जाए तो ऊबर है और स्पॉटिफाई है। तो अभी आया है जैसे ऊबर और इनका जो कोलैब हुआ है, तो राइडर्स का है। बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग है कि राइडर्स जो है गाने सुन सकते हैं ऐसे राइड करते हैं। तो वैसा अगर वैसा कुछ देखा जाए तो वैसा एग्जाम्पल के तौर पे देखा जाए तो।
हाँ, और इस बारे में ना कम्युनिटी बिल्डिंग के बारे में भी वीडियो में बताया गया था। मतलब कि एक कम्युनिटी बिल्ड हो रहा है, जैसे कि दिव्यांश ने बताया कि उबर और स्पॉटिफाई का कोलैब हुआ है, तो वो एक कम्युनिटी बन रहा है जिसमें सबका फायदा है। और प्रोडक्ट मार्केट फिट, जैसे कि उबर वालों को जरूरत था कि टाइम स्पेंड करना है, तो स्पॉटिफाई ने वहाँ जगह देखा, स्पेस देखा, तो वहाँ पे हिट किया। तो इससे प्रोडक्ट मार्केट फिट।
इसको हम एक इसको हम एक सेल्स फनल के थ्रू भी विजुअलाइज कर सकते हैं कि कैसे उन्होंने एक स्ट्रेटेजी यूज करी सेल्स के लिए। तो उसमें फर्स्ट एक कंपोनेंट आ जाएगा सर्विस का, फिर एक कंपोनेंट आ जाएगा कंसल्टेंसी का, और लास्ट वाला टेक्नोलॉजी बेस्ड। तो ऐसे एक विजुअलाइज कर सकते हैं इसको।
This brings me to the last question. And because Data Sutram as of 2021 is super innovative, the kind of data points you're collecting and the kind of insights you're generating, and then giving it over to the large multinationals to take much more informed decisions, it's super innovative. And the curse of being a very innovative company is that you have to be a market maker, where you have to first educate the audiences about the product what you're building, about the technology what you're building and benefiting. So can we agree that Data Sutram to a large extent is a market maker? And if yes, what kind of thoughts have you employed towards shifting Data Sutram from a market maker to a market getter, where people are approaching you for your services?
No, right. I think it's a vital journey. And the way when we started, the first question that people used to ask that, hey, and it's a question that we still get asked sometimes, that, you know, my life was fine before you came in, right? That why do I need you in my life? And that's the question any company who is wanting to become a market maker will face in the right place, right? So I think what's very important is case studies and achievements that you have done with your clients. Your first set of 10 customers, going back to my first point, are going to be the reason why others will come back to you. So again, I think anyone who is building a product that's a market maker, my recommendation is don't think of anything on sales. Just focus on your first 5 customers and build incredible stories. Stories that will change the perspective of the next. So the first point of information that you need to change from a market maker to market getter to appeal people to come is stories. And when I say stories, it needs very good referrals from the probably the guys people have as an industry standard. One of the companies we worked with in financial services, who was our first customer, was one of the most reputed financial services company in India. And when their chairman themselves came out and gave us a referral that we could publish in a paper, automatically a lot of the financial services automatically came to us. So in fact, so what's first important is stories and referrals. That's A. B, what's very important is to highlight that what is the incremental value in replacing the process. I think when you are and that's something that we did as a mistake also sometimes, that when we went and tried to pitch in our product, we were too focused on what we have as a product. But I think what's very important, especially, see, when you're building a product in a place where it previously existed, it's important for you to talk about your product more, because then people know the application and everything and they just need to know the features. But when you're building a product that does not have a similar kind of a product in the market and it's a market maker, sometimes harping too much on the product gets a client and a business and the other side too confused that do I really need it. The perspective here is to play the other way around and say that what is the differentiation. For example, for us, decision making was intuition and guts driven, and we are saying that, hey, this is, you can see the result of what you're building and what you're making. Imagine you're taking a decision knowing what's the impact of it going to be 6 months down the line. That's the difference that you bring to the table, and then you can talk about the 1,000 data points and how you collect it. But what's important is the impact and the value you show. And so my second point is that the ROI essence of it has to be clearly demonstrated, and you should know at the back of your hand that this is the ROI, and you should only harp on that ROI. The third point of information, I think it's very important, and this is in the journey of a customer. The first set of people are the innovators and the early adopters, and then come the laggards, or the late majority, in terms of the companies who will come in next. For them, brand is also a very important factor. Creating a FOMO effect is, when I say FOMO, it's feeling out or missing out, the feeling of missing out, right? Effect, and creating that FOMO effect by positioning a brand that, hey, I should also be associated. Some of the top guys are, and without that brand, I'm missing out. Imagine that at one point you all needed antiviruses, right? Irrespective of if at all a virus would come or not, it was important to have antiviruses in place, right? And I think it's that brand you need to create, that, hey, this is, without me, it's not enough. And I think that's an essential creation which can actually drive companies to come in. The fourth point, I think, is something that I recently picked up, and this was taught to me by someone stalwart in the industry and marketing front, is that if you really need to create a pull effect in the market, you need to talk about things about tomorrow. By talking about things of today, you cannot create a pull effect. You need to know what your clients want tomorrow, and then you need to talk about that, and that's where the clients will come to you before you going to them first, because they are already doing the research on how to find them out. So yeah, I think that's the 4 points that I would stick to.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like it all. Just to recap for all our students, number one is to start creating use cases, start creating stories around how life was good before, but how can you make that life better for all your customers, for all your clients. The second thing is, the moment you start weaving a story, you start backing it up with numbers, start backing it up with ROI, about what kind of ROI will the customer benefit once your product is essentially sold to you. The third one is, remind me of the third one. The fourth one you told was about that. How can we start creating the future now? How can we start transporting?
That is the FOMO effect.
Yeah, the FOMO effect. The third one was about creating the brand. About how can you start investing in creating a brand, so that after a lot of customers start realizing big companies or big users are using your product, they feel a fear of missing out, the feeling of missing out. And number four was that how can you start making sure that customers realize that you are the one who holds the beacon of the future, and they will start coming to you to actually understand that, what is the future holding for them and how you can help them transport to the future. This is great, Rajit. Thank you. Thank you so much for all this knowledge, all this wisdom, and of course, sharing your story with Data Sutram. This case study is going to be released in 2021, but I'm sure that we'll have to do another case in 2025 where we talk about how can we build $100 million in ARR.
Thanks a lot.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay.
तो इस केस स्टडी में बेसिकली डिस्कस किया गया है कि कैसे जो है मार्केट मेकर से मार्केट गेटर तक का जाना है। तो उन्होंने बेसिकली बताया कि स्टार्टिंग में पहले कि तुम्हारे जो स्टार्टिंग के 5-10 कस्टमर्स होते हैं वो कितने ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है, और उससे तुम्हें अच्छे रेफरल मिले वो कितना ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है। और लाइक अगर तुम्हारा कोई प्रोडक्ट नया प्रोडक्ट है तो उसके यूज़ केसेस क्या है, उससे तुमको रिटर्न ऑफ इन्वेस्टमेंट क्या मिली, ये सब जो यूज़ कर उन्हें पता होना चाहिए कि क्या फ़ायदे बेसिकली तुम्हारे प्रोडक्ट वगैरह के, यही सब डिस्कस किया है।
बेसिकली हमने इस केस स्टडी में देखा कि ये जो हमारा डेटा स्टूडेंट कंपनी था वो नॉट वेरी कन्वेंशनल कंपनी, जो हमें ऑफर कर रहे थे वो बहुत नया चीज था। सो दे काइंड ऑफ वर नॉट they were not established, their product was not already established in the market, but they had to create a market for it. And for that, he told us about 4 steps. The very first was to create a perspective change. Like we have to build incredible stories with our first few 10 customers to create incredible stories. So बाकी के customers उनको देख के हमारे पास आए. Second was हमारा incremental value हमें offer करनी है. That is ROI हमें बहुत अच्छा ऑफर करना है जिसकी वजह से और कस्टमर्स हमारे तरफ अट्रैक्ट हो. थर्ड हमारा था फोमो इफेक्ट. लाइक हर हर मार्केट में कुछ होते हैं अर्ली अडॉप्टर्स, इनोवेटर्स, जो जब नई चीजें आती है मार्केट में तो वो उसे अर्ली अडॉप्ट करते हैं. सो हमें इनको फोमो इफेक्ट दिलाना था टू क्रिएट अ ब्रांड वैल्यू ताकि वो हमारी कंपनी को आगे ले जा सके. एंड द फोर्थ वाज फुल इफेक्ट. तो फुल इफेक्ट वाज समथिंग कि हमें कुछ ऐसा करना है, हमें ऐसा करना है जो हमारे कस्टमर्स की फ्यूचर रिक्वायरमेंट्स को फुलफिल करे ताकि हमारे कस्टमर्स हमारे पास आए इससे पहले कि हम उनके पास जाए. सो बेसिकली ये काइंड ऑफ समरी थी इस केस स्टडी की.
हाँ, आई थिंक इसमें मेन यही है कि
In
फर्स्ट जब
this video,
अपना जब अपना मार्केट बना रहे हो देन यू हैव टू टेल देम दैट व्हाट वैल्यू आर यू ब्रिंगिंग, क्योंकि इनोवेशन है तो यू विल हैव टू टेल देम दैट इससे क्या एक्स्ट्रा बेनिफिट हो रहा है उनको. एंड देन वंस यू पिक द फर्स्ट फ्यू कंपनीज और उनके साथ अगर अच्छा वर्क किया हो देन ऑटोमेटिकली यू विल गेट रेफरल्स एंड गेट इनटू द मार्केट.
Since the Data Sutra was an unconventional company, so while pitching our company, we have to tell that what
Yes.
numbers to the customers, like what effect will be, what values will be added to the company if we get with us, and also like we have.
बेसिकली
एग्जैक्टली
उनने
हमें स्टार्टिंग में बहुत टारगेट करके कस्टमर्स के रिक्वायरमेंट्स फुलफिल करनी चाहिए, ना कि एक लार्ज ऑडियंस को स्टार्ट में कैटर करना चाहिए. एक छोटी ऑडियंस को पहले हम सैंपल रन करवा सकते हैं ताकि उनके जो रिक्वायरमेंट्स हम उनको अच्छे से फुलफिल कर सके ताकि वो हमें आगे हेल्प करें.
बेसिकली वो एक पुल इफेक्ट क्रिएट करने के बारे में
in
बोल
this
रहे हैं
video,
कि अगर
market
हम
maker to market
कस्टमर
getter की जर्नी डिस्क्राइब की गई है.
कि अगर हम कस्टमर को
So
फ्यूचर के बारे
when
में सोचेंगे और उनकी
start
फ्यूचर
creating a
नीड्स को
use
फुलफिल करेंगे तो हमें कस्टमर्स को पुल कर सकते हैं, मतलब उनके फ्यूचर के बारे में सोच के द नीड्स दे विल गेट इन द फ्यूचर बाय सॉल्विंग इट इन टुडे.
Yes, yes.
so starting a creating a use case, how can we make a life better than before for customer is also important. And हमारे ये वीडियो में ये भी डिस्कस किया गया है कि फर्स्ट सेट ऑफ जो पीपल है जो इनोवेटर होते हैं वो भी काफ़ी इंपॉर्टेंट होते हैं. हमें फोमो इफेक्ट क्रिएट करना है, दैट इज फियर ऑफ मिसिंग आउट. तो लोग हमारे प्रोडक्ट्स को ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा खरीदें. एंड लास्ट पॉइंट ये भी डिस्कस किया है कि बुल इफेक्ट कैसे क्रिएट कर सके. टू क्रिएट अ बुल इफेक्ट वी हैव टू टॉक द थिंग्स अबाउट टुमारो. वी कांट क्रिएट अ बुल इफेक्ट बाय जस्ट टॉकिंग टू टुडे.
One more thing I was add on कि as you building a strategy, sometimes strategy is double sword. As you are approaching the customers, building some new, giving some new values, but not all of them are accepting those new values. Some are to build for the orthodox features like we need what the market exists. We don't need what you give as incremental value. It could be justification for it. Not everyone needs what you want to give. उनको सिर्फ कभी वही चाहिए होता है जो ऑलरेडी मार्केट में एग्जिस्ट करता है, मे बी ड्यू टू ट्रस्ट फैक्टर or due to the authenticity and their general perspectives. So it could be a double sword. You have to make a strategy like you can balance out both the situations.
All right. Good evening, everyone joining from India, and good afternoon to those joining from Africa and the Middle East. My name is Rajat Agrawal, and I welcome you all on behalf of Wadhwani Foundation to this masterclass. We have with us today a very accomplished person, I must say, Victoria Diet, and I'll not spend too much time, but I'll quickly introduce her, although there are a lot of things I can talk about her. I'll try to keep it brief. So guys, Victoria is a tech community builder supporting early stage startups and cross-border collaboration across Asia and beyond. She was previously the PR and crisis management consultant for OMG Network, an ICO unicorn in the fintech industry, and chief marketing officer and startup ops for Slush, which is the world's leading startup conference in the organization's Japan initiative. She has worked with industry leaders such as Google for Startups, Techstars, TechSauce, and the like, with a strong focus on startup growth through training, collaboration, and mentorship. She has supported and trained over 200 startups for competitions, fundraising, and business development. So it's fitting that she has agreed to join us today for this masterclass on sales and marketing. Without further delay, I'd request Victoria to take over and enlighten us with her insights. Over to you, Victoria.
Thank you so much, Raja. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, okay, great. Thank you so much to the whole team, Wadhwani Foundation, for having me and inviting me. Really excited to be here to chat about sales and marketing strategies for early stage startups. And yeah, I'll just try to share my screen now. Okay, can you guys see my screen okay?
Yes, it is visible.
All right, great. So yeah, hi. I hope everyone is doing good. As you guys can see, it's quite bright where I am. I'm currently in the UK, so it's currently noon. But I understand that in the Philippines, it's the evening and everywhere else in Asia. So thank you so much for making time for joining this masterclass. As you guys can see, we're going to be talking about sales and marketing strategies. But before we kick things off, the agenda for today is basically I'll talk to you guys about startup sales and marketing, what works, what doesn't, and some tips and tricks that I know is an effective way for early stage startups. But before we kick things off, I'd like to tell you guys a little bit about me. So, as you guys know, my name's Victoria, but you guys can call me Vicky. I'm an entrepreneur by heart. I have some more traditional ventures that I have jumped into, from restaurants to mining. But I've been focusing a lot on the tech scene for the past 4 years. I'm currently a consultant to a number of startups, helping them out when it comes to marketing, PR, biz dev, and just growth in general. But at the heart of it, I'm really a tech community builder. These are like organizations like Wadhwani as well, who supports startups and early and young entrepreneurs. So that's exactly what I do as well. So I collaborate with different community builders from different ecosystems, and I try to provide them support or collaborations that would benefit them for their growth. And as it was mentioned, I was previously with OMG Network as their PR crisis management consultant. And I was the chief marketing officer and startup operations, which is basically business development for Slush in their Japan office. I'm born and raised in the Philippines, so that's where I grew up. Moved to Japan, spent a couple of years there,
worked in Singapore and Thailand for a little bit. And then when the pandemic hit, I moved to the UK because I thought it was about a nice time to transition. That's enough about me. These are a couple of great companies that I've worked with in the past, also all tech related. But before we start, I'd like to do one quick change. When Wadwani Foundation reached out for me to do this masterclass, they mentioned that they wanted me to do a sales and marketing strategy. But as you are young startups, I'd like you to really embody what it really means to create these relationships. So, from sales and marketing, let's change it up to business development and marketing strategy. That way, we're not only looking at the selling part of things, but also the long term effects of these developments. But what is exactly the difference? So, sales is the business function and process of creating revenue for a company by closing deals with customers. So, you basically sell something and then they buy it and then it ends there. So, short term, you close a sale, very transactional. The difference with business development is it's a business function and process of identifying potential good fit customers and building a relationship between a company and a solution for the sales team to eventually pitch and close. So this is just basically saying that it opens you up to more business opportunities for growth, not just focusing on the sale, but the relationships that you actually build throughout it. And it looks at more of a long-term outlook compared to a sales strategy that's just usually focused on the hitting the revenue targets. So with that in mind, this session won't be about things you already know. I did chat with the organization's team, and they told me that you've already had a number of classes, you've already had a number of lessons. So you've done red ocean, blue ocean, strategy canvas, you've done SWOT analysis, GTMs, and all this. And I was also told that you guys already know your branding, positioning, sales plan, sales pitch, sales and marketing, digital media. Really impressive. So I thought that for this session, I will focus more on the strategy side of things. So instead of focusing on really giving you things that you already know, it's giving you insight on what has worked for other startups before. But before we start, what is a strategy? So we've been throwing it around since the session started, but what is it exactly? So a lot of people would say, oh, a strategy is just how you attack something, how you challenge something. But really, for a startup, a strategy are the steps you use to help reach a specific goal. But this specific goal connects back to the company goal. So this is something that a lot of startups sometimes find a disconnect because a lot of startups focus too much on I need to get X number of users for my app. I need to get X number of customers. But what is the real impact for the bigger goal of the company? How does it actually fit in for you to, for example, if your bigger goal is to get your Series A funding or even seed funding? How do you actually get there by hitting these smaller goals? So that's how strategy works. And strategy, I tried to break it down into three main steps. The first step is the situation. So this is wherein if you're a founder, you're just sitting down and you're thinking, what is the current situation of my startup? Is it very new? Do I even have customers? What's the market situation like? Is it congested? Do I have blue ocean? Am I the only one who's offering this product or service? And what is the challenge that I'm currently facing? Am I struggling with creating the product in itself? Am I struggling with getting a share of the market? Is it because there are bigger players? That's why I'm not getting enough customers. And then once you've thought of the situation and assessed it, we usually dive into finding the answer to that challenge. What will solve the challenge based on the situation that you're in? What approach should you take and not take? And it's very important to highlight as well that when you're looking at this step, you're also thinking of what shouldn't be done. A lot of startups try to kind of like go head on and just create a list of I need to try this, 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 and this, and this. But you have to also consider that time is of the essence when it comes to strategies. You won't really have the time to try every single strategy out there, but if you do an elimination of what you believe based on evidence that will actually work, then that would be a potential answer to the situation that you currently have. And then you'll dive in deeper and have specific actions. And these specific actions are targeted actions that you need to solve the challenge and achieve the solution or goal set. So it sounds pretty simple, right? But in case you're getting lost, I decided to do a really simple and easy to understand example for you. So let's pretend it's summertime, it's school break. I decided to start a lemonade stand in a really good park location. All the kids come here, all the parents come here as well. Sometimes they have football practice. And suddenly, one new competitor sets up his own lemonade stand just a block away from me. And all of a sudden, my 10 lemonade sold per day is not being met. So now I'm having this issue of I'm not hitting my revenue goal. So then I try to assess the situation. I try to look at, okay, the location is good. There's definitely customers coming here. There has always been traction, but I found out that the competitor is offering more options. So that's when I decided that maybe the answer is focusing on providing drink options that the customer actually wants. So I try to do my research, I try to observe what exactly are they buying from my competitor's lemonade stand? What makes it so special that they're not buying from me anymore? The pricing is the same. Obviously, it's something about the product. So I do specific actions as part of the strategy. I speak to customers because customers have all needs to be at the heart of everything that you do. So you try to find out why are they buying from him and not from me? What are the flavors that he's offering that I'm not offering and how can I be better? And then you find out this preference that the customers want and you start launch you plan to launch a new flavor offering. So I launch a new lemonade with pomegranate on it or something like something that the customers will actually like. And then you add an offering on top of it wherein I offer if you buy one you get the second one 50% off. So then you'll have the edge again and have that launch successful. So that is initially basically what a strategy is. So now you guys understand what a strategy is. I'd like to put out a disclaimer that there is no one size fits all type of strategy. Each company is different. Each timing for the company is different. Each situation is different. So you have to assess what your company situation is like, where you're based. It's very important as well, and what trends there are, and what exactly are the challenges that you're facing, and what solutions are available to you. So now that you have that in mind, let's look at marketing and business development. And it's very important to really stress that marketing and business development are not exactly completely separated. So, another mistake that I've seen a lot of startups do is they create a marketing team and then they create a business development team, but they forget to bridge that gap. It's very important that there will be constant communication between these two teams because in the funnel, which I'm sure that you have also learned about already in this program, in the funnel, you will see that the top part of the funnel, it's marketing, and the bottom part where you actually transition into a sale, it's actually business development. And also with the retention, it falls with business development and not marketing. So it's really important to have this bridge this gap between these two teams. You'll see it in a lot of established big companies such as Google, Amazon. They usually have a product manager who's like really bridging the gap between marketing and business development. She or he would deal with business development, make sure that the pipelines are healthy, but at the same time, communicate with the marketing team on what needs to be done, what needs to be communicated. And this relationship is going to be very important when you're creating strategies for your company. And yes, that's why the relationship is important. So marketing does the content and messaging and drives leads into the funnel. Meanwhile, business development is very customer facing. They're the ones who do the demos. They're the ones who present what you're actually selling, and they nurture these leads as well. So not only once you sell, it's done. That's sales. Business development is really maintaining these relationships so that you could capitalize on it further in the future. And I just wanted to run through this really quickly, but I'm sure that it's also something that you have discussed before. It's basically the 4 P's of marketing as well. So who is your customer? You need to really have an understanding of who your customer is. I know you've done branding. One thing that I would recommend is really have a good understanding of your customer and make sure that your product or service is a fit. So product market fit is going to be very important. There are some founders that fall in love with their idea too deeply that it makes it difficult for them to adjust their view or adjust their pivot their idea into fitting the target customer. And this is usually a huge mistake that a lot of startups make, and we have seen a lot of startups fail because of this. So having that attachment with your idea sometimes might not be healthy, but having that attachment or obsession with your customer is what's going to drive your organization to be successful. So make sure to always know who your customers are. I know Edwani has taught you how to do your personas. Make sure to know who your personas are. Be specific. What's their age group? What do they look like? Like have that understanding of who your customer is and what exactly are you going to target them with. So not all strategies target individuals or customers for the sake of selling something. For early stage startups, sometimes you want to target certain organizations for partnerships. So it's not exactly selling what you're making or selling your product or service, but it's all about creating that relationship. So what exactly are you going to target them with? And having an understanding of that, where you're adding value to them while adding value to yourself.
Whatever she said, I completely agree with her. Yeah, that's all.
Basically, she says that we should break the steps for achieving some objectives for the company. Like first, we should analyze the situation,
Yeah,
then
yeah,
we should find the solution, and then we should specify the actions which should be taken towards the solution.
exactly.
Yeah, so these are
Yes,
the
that was the solution.
strategical steps which she defined in the video.
तो इसमें उसमें फोकस हो रहा था कि होस्ट इंट्रोड्यूस करता है मास्टर और क्लास ऑर्गेनाइज्ड पूरा नहीं क्या बोलते हैं उसको हाँ विक्टोरिया
No, no,
रिफ्रेम
no.
सेक्शन को व्हाट अबाउट नो
इसमें मार्केटिंग के लिए 4 स्टेप में बाँटा गया है। मतलब हू, व्हाट, वेयर एंड हाउ। हू मतलब कि हमारा टारगेट ऑडियंस क्या रहेगा, व्हाट मतलब कि हमारा वैल्यू प्रोपोज़िशन क्या रहेगा। मतलब हमें क्लियरली अपना वैल्यू प्रोपोज़िशन डिफाइन करना चाहिए और ये किस वे में यूनिक है। और वेयर मतलब किस चैनल के थ्रू अपन अपना प्रोडक्ट डिलीवर करेंगे एंड हाउ मच मतलब कितनी ऑडियंस अपन कवर
यस
करेंगे
यस
एक चैनल
यस
वाइज़।
हाउ मतलब कि किस तरीके से इसको इम्प्लीमेंट करेंगे।
हुँ। एक्चुअली यहाँ पे हाउ मतलब है कि मतलब मार्केटिंग के लिए मतलब अपना मतलब हाउ मच मनी वी विल मार्केटिंग में कितना एलोकेट करेंगे।
आई थिंक वो स्ट्रेटेजी वो थी कि मार्केटिंग को लेके कि यू हैव टू
हुँ,
बिल्ड
हुँ।
व्हाट डिफरेंशिएट्स
हम्म,
लाइक
सब
अगर
कुछ इंक्लूसिव होता है, स्ट्रेटेजी हो गया, मार्केटिंग हो गया, बजट हो गया, सब कुछ एक साथ।